Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. It's a brand new show. It is the calling show for you guys to have your say. We're going to be talking about, should Marcus Rashford be dropped? Is Onana a problem? Should McTominay ever wear the shirt again? And a lot more controversial topics, and we're going to be getting your opinion, so you can get involved by clicking the link for the Discord below or scanning the QR code that's going to pop up on screen for you, and you can get yourselves in. Hopefully we get some really great callers in this afternoon. Joining as my co-host is Faz. Faz, excited for the new show?
I'm very much excited. I'm glad that people can finally speak to us. They can challenge us. We can speak to the fans and really understand what some of the people have to say when they're going at us in the chat. So make sure you get involved as well. I'll give you a hot topic to start off with. Andre Onana is a problem. Andre Onana is a problem. Just as much as he's a solution, he is also a problem. Two things can be right at the same time. Let's start off with that.
Well, I mean, we'll see what callers we get in. We're going to have a caller coming to us very shortly. But Onana is a problem. Are people just jumping on the bandwagon? I mean, I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of people calling up saying I'm wrong about Andre Onana and David De Gea. Feel free to have your say, but I'm going to be letting you know when we do have a caller on the line. Do we have Omar there for us, Greg? Yep, so Omar, welcome to the show. Welcome to the calling show, our first ever caller. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi guys, you alright?
Perfect, thank you for joining us. So, Omar, I have heard through the grapevine that you want Marcus Rashford to be dropped from this Manchester United team. Tell us your reasoning behind this.
Okay, so Rashford, he's an issue. He's an issue in the team, definitely. I don't know why Ten Hag still not looked at him and given him, you know, it looks like he's not telling him what to do really on the pitch, really, because for me it looks like Rashford just can do whatever he wants on the pitch. That's because that's the attitude that he's giving us. That's what he's looking like. You know, we cannot have him, you know, jogging on the pitch, not chasing back. Like yesterday in the game, you're watching it. I'm seeing Lemar, you know, just running past him all the time, just attacking our fullback, and you know, Rashford's behind him jogging. I'm looking at him like, what are you doing? Like, you're on the pitch, you know, to help your fullback as well when we're on the attack. But he's just walking back, and then our fullback's just getting attacked and getting ripped on that side, and they almost scored as well. Because with him right now, I don't want to see him in the team, because it just doesn't look like he's just up for it really. He jumps out of challenges, he jumps out of tackles. You know, he's not. Maybe yesterday he did pass the ball to Højlund, and I think he should have actually shot then, but he did pass it. Yeah, we did score from that. But there was another moment where he could have passed the ball and he actually shot it. And you know, from that, the keeper, the what's it called, the Bayern Munich keeper, you know, saved the ball. But he could have actually crossed it to Højlund in that space, but he didn't do that.
Omar,
so
do you think with Rashford it is a plan from Ten Hag? Because Ten Hag's obviously seen this week in, week out. He's seen what we're seeing. He's seen Rashford not track back. Do you think it's a plan from Ten Hag? Is he just wanting what maybe wants him on the pitch as a chance for a moment from him?
Even if that's the plan from Ten Hag, then we gotta really look at him as in, like, is he really up to it then? Because you cannot do that. You cannot just get that player in there and just leave him there for a moment to come. No, we need an all-round player. We need him to be able to run back when we're defending, to defend. When we're attacking, we need him to be able to make good decisions in the attacking phases. But he's not he's doing neither really, not to a consistent level. Anyway, so if Ten Hag is giving him those instructions to actually play like that, then we got to look at the manager really, like, is he really up to it? Because he shouldn't be giving those type of instructions to a player, because when we're under attack, we're actually vulnerable if he's not running back to help his fullback.
But
so,
Omar, what would you say to the fan base that will say that Marcus Rashford is our #1 goal threat, considering his GA for the last few seasons? Last season, he had a 40+ GA season. Yes, the season before, it was only single digit. But prior to that, he's at 20+ GA 2 seasons back to back. If the manager is telling him to do certain aspects of the game differently to what the fan base want, it may be because he's the #1 threat on a counter-attack, right?
But then he has to get the structure right. He has to get the structure right, because the structure clearly is not right, because we're getting attacked and conceding goals. And yesterday, they were attacking his side a lot.
Who would you replace him with in the team, Omar?
Go on.
Who would you replace him with in the team?
That's the issue we have also here. if Rashford is not up to it, I'm not even gonna lie. I seen Martial come on yesterday, and he actually did. You know, he was actually sharp. He's quite sharp. That's what I'm saying. If Martial is looking sharp right now, I'll play him on that left wing, because he would create more. Martial is a pass first player. He's not a shoot first player. He will look for his striker. He will look to link up. You know, so I would actually rather put Martial there and play him and let him have a go.
What do you guys think?
You know,
do you think Martial
have a go on,
do you
on
think
the
Martial
left?
is worthy enough to start on the left?
Well, everyone get in the comments down in the chat. There is a poll currently ongoing, 1,200 votes in there. Should
ready?
Marcus Rashford be dropped? Should Martial be playing instead of Rashford? That is a question to definitely bring to you. Omar, lastly, just wanted to talk to you about Erik Ten Hag. Is he under pressure?
Yeah. Now I feel like he's under pressure, but that's gonna be mainly from the from the media, you know, because I don't think a lot of the people from the media really wanted Ten Hag to come in, and maybe even some of the ex-players probably they were looking at Pochettino to come in. So I think he's going to be under pressure from them a lot. But for me, I back him still. I still want the guy to do well. But he is going to be under pressure if we keep losing games like we're losing as well, because and he's not getting the structure right also. Okay, he did mention that he's never played his strongest 11 because of, you know, injuries and that. I get that. I absolutely do get that. And that is difficult. You know, it's difficult for a manager to come in and not have his, strongest, and not have his whole team fit where he can actually pick his best 11.
But Omar, regardless, the team is still better off than last season. It is still the manager's job to make sure he sets up the team and improves the team from last season. But look, Omar, thank you very much for joining us. I do appreciate your comments. We're going to move on to the next caller as well. That was interesting, to dropping Rashford for Martial. I mean, I'm a fan of that. And also,
Ricky would be absolutely loving it.
Yeah, is pressure building on Erik Ten Hag? If you ask me, the pressure is gone past building point. It's his second season. He must improve the players that are already in the squad. The next caller is Elijah, if I'm not mistaken. Elijah, can you hear me? Welcome to the call-in show, our second caller. And I have heard that you have a very, very interesting take. Please share with us, Elijah. What is your take?
My take is that I believe Ten Hag is under unfair pressure, and I believe that the fan base have lost their way a little bit. I believe that the general consensus now is that Ten Hag isn't good enough, that the results are only a reflection on him and his choices, his decisions. And I think that it is being labelled that anyone who backs Ten Hag now is being soft, is not actually doing the right thing. And
so what are you trying to imply? Are you trying to imply that Erik Ten Hag is not the manager for the job, or what is your actual straight-up opinion?
I'm trying to imply that he is the manager for the job, and I think that the momentum building against him is wrong.
So you think it's the media's fault for putting the unnecessary pressure on him, right?
I think it is, indeed. I think the media, I think a multitude of factors that were out.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think Erik Ten Hag has done better this season compared to last in the first 5 games that we have played? How has he improved the team so far, considering he's had a pre-season as well, with some players that he's bought?
That's a very good argument against what I'm saying. However, I think that he has a lot of mitigating circumstances that do cause pressure and cannot be ruled out. You know, the Anthony situation, the Sancho situation, the injury crisis at the start of the season. I think he did have a pre-season that is absolutely accurate, in which he didn't last. I think that is something that is a very good counter-argument. But for me, personally, I think you cannot dissuade to the fact that he has had a lot of issues to deal with in the start of the season.
Okay.
When Elijah, I wanted to come in on this one and ask you, so who is it fault for Manchester United not getting the results, and in your eyes, what is it fault for Manchester United not getting the results at the start of this season?
Do you know what? I think it comes down to a multitude of all factors. This is why I say I think it's Ten Hag is unfair to solely blame him. I think time and time again, season upon season, we've mentioned the lack of quality in the squad. We've mentioned the mentality issues at Manchester United. This is something he's inherited, and I think that the first season he was here, he managed to somehow sway that. You know, players playing for contracts, maybe players trying to be, you know, manager bounce, whatever. But I think that when you're looking at it from as unbiasedly as you can, it's a multitude of everything. Players not pulling their weight, Ten Hag not making the right decisions at the start of the season. There are some things he's doing in game which do raise eyebrows. I think that when you're looking at it, you have to be as unbiased as possible when you are trying to find the root cause of Manchester United's issues. And there are many other factors, as I said, outside of it, things going on with Anthony Sancho, etc., that also play a part.
Okay, well, do you have anything else? I don't know.
I lastly just wanted to ask you, when you talk about players not pulling the weight, can you name any specific players that you see not pulling the weight?
Well, I think that, as you saw yesterday, I think McTominay, coming in straight again, he's just summing up what we're seeing. I think Rashford as well, some of the decision-making is poor. Certain areas when players get into the positions, you've got to make the easy pass. If you make an easy pass and we score from it, you've assisted, you've helped the team, you've helped Ten Hag win. So I think it's simple things like that cause issues. There's issues over Rashford, Onana, McTominay, etc. There's a lot of issues in the team and a lot that Ten Hag has to deal with going forward. But I still don't think it's too early for it to be called for him to leave the club.
Elijah, thank you so much for your call. I massively agree with everything that you're saying there. And Erik Ten Hag, for me, he's obviously responsible because he's the manager, but I think there's a lot of other mitigating factors that need to be held accountable. Elijah, thank you so much for calling in. I mean, Faz, before we get the next caller in, what do you make of what Elijah had to say?
I think he's got a fair point that the media are causing some sort of pressure for Ten Hag more than what it needs. But also, Erik Ten Hag has brought it onto himself by saying the things he said about Jadon Sancho when he could have just said something else. And all this media frenzy wouldn't have happened with Jadon Sancho. The Anthony one we couldn't avoid. The injuries we can't avoid. But the only thing is, it's his job to improve the players that he has from last season, the likes of Rashford, the likes of Diego Dalot. These are still players in their prime, some reaching their prime, and that's what he's got to do. Surprise, surprise, they're regular on the Spurs players coming to Manchester United and showing us what level he brings. And that's not how it should be. So the pressure, as much as it's unfair, it's also fair.
Exactly. A lot of people in the chat saying Elijah the GOAT. Very, very good call from Elijah. If you want to have your say, remember the link to the Discord is in the description, and also you can scan the QR code that comes up on your screen to get involved. Go in the waiting rooms and we will try and pull you in as best as possible. Another big talking point, especially after yesterday, is Andre Onana. Did Erik Ten Hag make a mistake changing the goalkeeper? We have Ross, who wants to talk about Onana now, and he wants to talk about him in a positive way. Ross, welcome to the call-in show.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Beth. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good to have you on. So you're saying that Ten Hag made the right decision getting rid of De Gea and bringing Onana in, and that the fans should back Onana?
I think the fans should back Onana, yeah. I think the attitude that Andre Onana showed in requesting to speak to the media and to own up to the mistakes he made during the game was, quite frankly, a move that not a lot of United players have made in very recently. And I think it's that kind of accountability and that mindset that we need to see more from our players. I think a lot of players do have a tendency to perhaps overspeak on social media. But really, I think Andre Onana is a positive example of being humble and showing that owning up to mistakes. And really, I think that's probably one of my biggest positive takeaways from last night's performance is that, yes, players are going to make mistakes. That's just going to happen. It's a part of football. But owning up to those mistakes and knowing and making a conscious effort that you're going to try and rectify them for games going forward is something that I see really positively. And I'm really glad that he made that decision to speak to the media in that way. I know Ten Hag responded to that by saying, that it's a team effort. And again, I think that was the right answer too. But really, from Onana's perspective, I think it was the right thing to do.
Does it concern you in a way, though, that he has had, how many shots is it against him? Is it 12 shots? Yeah. And he's 14 shots and 14. Conceded 12 goals. And if that was David De Gea, he would be getting absolute pelters right now. Does that concern you?
Of course, because, you don't like to see Manchester United conceding as many goals as we have at the start of the season. But I don't think that's something really to look at Andre Onana and think, okay, he might not be as good a shot stopper as David De Gea is, but there's always going to be problems with your goalkeeper. We bought Andre Onana, not really. He's a goalkeeper that I think is quite explosive. He's got a great personality, and I think it's going to take him a while to really embed into the team and get used to this style of football. He's never played Premier League football before, so I'm a big advocate for Andre Onana. I think he's going to be a success at this club. I think the way that he's been able to build out the back and his presence in the box has been a massive positive for us going forward, and I think that's the way Erik Ten Hag wants to play with this side. As for his other weaknesses, every player has their strengths and weaknesses, and I just think that's one of them for Andre Onana. He'll work on it. He'll be a positive story to come out of Manchester United, and really, I think the big positive being that he's accountable for the mistakes that he's made, and that's the type of attitude that others in that dressing room could really learn from.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Faz, do you want to?
Yeah, I think, look, it's great that it's a keeper that comes out and takes accountability, which is really nice to see. But whether he's taking accountability or not, the fact is he's he still needs to make sure he stops the ball going in the back of the net. That's his bread and butter. And like I said at the start of the show, just as much as he's a problem, he is also a solution. Two things can be right at the same time. The problem is he is going to concede a lot of goals. And are Manchester United prepared for that? Are Manchester United prepared to go goal for goal against team? Like we saw yesterday, 4 goals versus 3. It was a good thing to see. But can we continue that throughout the season, considering the injuries we have, the shaky midfield that we have, and all the other malarkey that's going on? So if Manchester United... Look, Man City last season, for example, conceded loads of goals as well compared to the season before.
Exactly.
But then they end up going and scoring more because they have the firepower. Do we have the firepower to do that is the biggest question. And if we do, then I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go on, Ross.
Sorry, Beth. I 100% agree, Faz, and I think that's a real question that we have to ask our attackers now. Is yes, we have a keeper that might concede a few more goals than David De Gea would, but really, this is the kind of side we want to be. We want to be an attacking side. Defensively solid would be great, but again, that calls into question the amount of injuries that we've had to our back line, and really, that back line we've had last night was completely makeshift, to say the least. So really, I think, yes, you attribute some of the blame to Andre Onana. I don't personally agree that it's entirely his fault, but at the same time, I'm glad that he's keeping that accountability, and really going forward, he'll improve upon his shot-stopping abilities. He made a good few saves last night. I think everyone remembers the fact that, that first goal he shouldn't have conceded. I 100% agree, but he made some good saves. I think he will come right, and really his ability to play out from the back is second to none, and that'll really improve the way in which we go about playing attacking football this season.
Ross, thank you so much for calling in. It was great to hear from you, and I completely agree with you. Onana will come good, so thank you for calling in.
That was very interesting. I'll be very honest. The Onana situation is going to haunt us throughout this season.
It's going to be a huge talking point.
And I know a lot of people, I saw the stream back yesterday, a lot of people were coming for you because of this, and I do feel for you.
You've seen my DMs. My DMs are flooded.
I haven't.
My DMs are flooded.
But yeah, look, like I say, I'm prepared for this. I'm prepared for Andre Onana to be making the mistakes because he's going to be still better for the team.
We have got a very, very good caller about to come in, but quickly, just a few super chats. Phil Smith, we should be supporting Rashford and not hating on him. Noah Leoberty says, we cannot put the form on Eric Ten Hag. He hasn't been perfect, but what can he do? Cassie and Eriksen need to be dropped, but no one is healthy. He's set up to fail right now. We are going to talk about Casemiro and Eriksen. They are coming. McTominay is coming as well. Get your say, scan the QR code. But we have a caller now who wants to drop Andre Onana out of the starting 11.
And start who?
The question's got to be asked. DZ, are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. DZ, dropping Andre Onana, please tell me your reasoning behind that and who plays instead.
Okay, first of all, if you would have asked me how I thought we'd line up or perform against Bayern, I said we lose 3-0. And against my better or lack of better judgment, Ten Hag goes out there, brilliant game plan, gets the team behind him. Apparently everybody's clapping in the locker room after we just got embarrassed at Brighton. And we go out there and we put out a half-decent performance early in the game. And Onana lets the ball slip under him. Okay, I'm not De Gea in. This is not an agenda anti-Onana, pro-De Gea. De Gea, when he came to United to replace Van der Sar, he got dropped for Lindegaard, right? And all it did was help push him to the next level of his career when he eventually got back.
And he was very young as well, don't forget.
He was very young, okay, but playing for United, I don't care what age you are, playing goalie for United, you need to be there for that one moment in the game where they take a shot and you need to do your job, okay? Letting the ball slip under you, if it's De Gea, we're killing him all day on social media. I'm not saying Onana won't come good. I like Onana. I rate Onana. He's probably top 5 goalkeeper in the league, in my opinion, in terms of just on-the-ball ability and his saving ability, because he does have the stats to back it up. I'm just saying he's in a tough position right now. He's clearly not playing good enough. It might be beneficial to drop him against Burnley and let the Turkish kid go in there. And I'm saying this because all week we're sitting there slating Ten Hag out, Ten Hag out. We lost again against Bayern. And here we are. If we lose against Burnley and he makes another howler, all the pressure is going to be on the manager. And I'm tired of the players not performing up to their standards and getting the manager fired. And I think that's a reasonable thing to think. Okay, so this is no anti-Onana agenda. I'm just saying it could be beneficial for the team if we make some kind of switch, because clearly it's not working. All of the goals conceded, all of the chances conceded, the saves coming later in the game when we're already losing. It's not good enough, man. I mean,
DZ, I wanted to ask you, Bayern, what happens if you bring him in and he makes a mistake? Then where does Ten Hag go?
Okay, it's a fair point, right? But in this business, especially for United, you need to take risks in life, okay? And if conceding 4 goals, and I know one of them's harsh penalty, fair, and Harry Kane against penalty on pens, Onana's likely not saving that.
No keeper's saving that penalty. No keeper's
That was a
saving
fantastic
that penalty.
yeah.
Yeah, but so the first goal is 100% his mistake, and I know people will blame Bruno for giving the ball away on the 4th goal. There's 2 or 3 phases, I think, before they eventually get the shot off, and it goes over Onana's head. Goalkeepers should not been beaten at their near post, let alone over their head. I think it's inexcusable. You see goalkeepers make crazy reaction saves all the time. That's their job, and fair play when they do their job. I'm saying if they bench him and they bring in the Turkish guy Bayındır, whatever his name is, and he drops a howler, he's not good enough to be United backup goalkeeper. Done.
Well,
does that not kill Onana's confidence completely though?
But hold on, before we get into the confidence thing, first point is Brighton do that, where they swap between goalkeepers and they do it very well. That's Brighton for you. And number 2, Mark Overmars and Erik Ten Hag wanted Altay Bayındır to be Ajax's number 1 goalkeeper when they were actually looking to get rid of or sell Onana. So Erik Ten Hag actually looks at Altay Bayındır as a high-level goalkeeper, enough for him to want him to be in Ajax anyways. So he went and got his guy. You can go and check it in the Turkish media outlets. It was put up there in 2020 when they were scouting him for a year and a bit. So I do have faith in that. If you're going to back the manager, you back the second goalkeeper as well. Don't forget, we just sold a goalkeeper as well that we thought was going to be good enough for Manchester United. And Erik Ten Hag went and bought Altay Bayındır. So I can appreciate how people think that DZ is saying drop Onana, but if a team like Brighton are just dropping their goalkeepers the odd 2 games, 3 games, then why can't we? And look at how they're playing.
DZ, I mean, that Onana stuff is absolutely wild to me. I wouldn't drop him. I think it'd kill his confidence. But obviously, everyone's entitled to their opinion. You are right. Arsenal have done it. Brighton have done it. But I mean, at this stage, when he has had a bad few games, I just think it'd be the complete wrong thing to do. But DZ, you also said you want to drop Rashford. Am I right on hearing that?
No, I'm sorry, Beth. You're incorrect. I want to sell Rashford.
Oh, wow.
You want to sell Rashford?
Yeah, I think, look, it might not be popular amongst the Mancunian fan base, and I respect everybody, and I respect everybody's opinion. Everybody loves a homegrown kid coming up from the being a genuine child, going through the ranks, getting promoted to the first team, and not just playing for the first team, but getting, I think, 3 professional contracts in the first team level. So respect to Rashford. I think this club cannot achieve greatness with Marcus Rashford. I'm sorry. I think, we talked about it on Twitter Spaces. I encourage everybody to come out to Twitter Spaces, check us all out, because everybody's throwing opinions out there. But, to me, he's a very low IQ player. Even yesterday, okay, we slated him for Brighton for not passing the ball. Yesterday, he gets the ball, and he's at the top of the box, and there's nobody in front of him. And then in that situation, he should probably take a step up into the box and take a shot himself. Instead, he forces the pass to a marked striker who then, luckily gets a shot off a very lucky, fortunate goal. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's fine margins. You see high-level players making high-level decisions all the time, and our players always seem to make bad decisions time and time after again. So I'm sitting there. I love my club. I don't love any player more than I love the club. And I want to sit there and I want to just relish the days where we're competing regularly for honors. I mean, Rashford's not that guy to take us there. I'm sorry.
I mean, DZ, we'll have to see if you get proved right. A lot of people right now thinking that Rashford should be dropped. You want him sold. But DZ, thank you for coming on to the call-in. Very, very controversial opinions. We have spoken a lot about Onana and Rashford now. I think we need to move the conversation on to McTominay, Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes. A lot of players that are coming under
Oh, wait till we get to Bruno Fernandes.
Coming under heat. Robert McCormick says DZ picking 2 guys that are never getting dropped. A lot of people agreeing with what DZ has to say there, saying he's spitting facts. I mean, it's interesting to see the controversy in the chat.
But it's also recency.
Yes, the next call we have is it Valagard? Valagard with us? Is that the next caller? Hello, are you there with us?
Hi there.
Zalad, sorry for getting that wrong. Sometimes it's hard to hear through the little earpiece here. But Zalad, I want to come to you. We want to move on to the midfield. Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes. This midfield has not been working for Manchester United. Casemiro and Eriksen, a lot of people saying they've seen past their best. Amrabat and Mount waiting in the wings. What does Erik Ten Hag have to do? Does he need to drop Casemiro and Eriksen for Amrabat and Mount?
Realistically, if you want to win anything, you'd have to drop them all. Like Bruno, I feel, is a similar position of Rashford, where he's one of his favourites, and because he's a captain, he's never going to get dropped. But some of his actions last night were a bit. You can't really trust him to be consistent, and especially as a big game player, he's not going to show up for you. So then I'd put if all of our midfield is fit, I'd have Mount in place of Bruno, then you'd have Amrabat, and honestly, I'd give Donny a try. Like, I understand that not many people would want him, but I mean, he played for Erik Ten Hag under Ajax, and we ruined his career.
Yeah, but he played for Erik Ten Hag under Ajax because Erik inherited him, and then Erik made what he could, and then obviously moved him on. Just because a player played under Erik Ten Hag doesn't mean that Erik Ten Hag is magically going to make something out of him as well. And also, Erik Ten Hag gave him opportunities last season, and it didn't end up working out as well. And also, Erik Ten Hag didn't register him for the Champions League.
Let's let the guy explain himself.
This is factual, though.
Yeah, I agree that he didn't really have many chances. But remember, in the Southampton game when he's got injured, he was getting a few run at games, and I don't really think he was playing that bad before he got injured. But that injury completely killed off any of his remaining chances at the club. And yeah, he played in pre-season, he scored a goal, but we did try to sell him. But I think, honestly, if you want to have accountability for these players, you need to start dropping them. All of them. Like, no one should be exempt from dropping. Like, Rashford got dropped for 45 minutes for being a few minutes. Like, if you ask me, he should have been dropped the entire game, even if it costs us 2 points. You need to have a proper accountability in this club, or we're never going to get anywhere. And if that means, if Casemiro has a bad game, you drop him for Amrabat. Bruno has a bad game, you put him in place of Mount. You need to have this midfield at the moment. It is getting run through, but yes, you do have to try other stuff. Eriksen, for me, I think he's past it. I think his legs are completely gone. And I don't understand why he keeps playing him as an 8 when you can clearly see that a lot of the goals that we concede are because Eriksen isn't marking his man, and the enemy just gets a shot off and they score.
That is very interesting.
Can I ask you then? Can I ask you? Do you think Ten Hag is setting double standards then? If he's dropping the likes of Sancho for maybe not giving his all in training, but then you see other players not giving their all on the pitch and they're not dropped. Do you think there is double standards with Ten Hag with players?
Yeah, I do. And if you think about when he was at Ajax, he always has his favourites, and in that sense, my criticism of him in that sense is similar to Southgate. They've both got their favourites and they're both undroppable. Now, with Ten Hag, it's pretty obvious. It's like Bruno and Rashford. Those are the main 2 favourites. You could argue Martinez, but Martinez has been improving. Rashford, I would have liked him to like kick on from last season, but he just got worse. And I'd say Sancho does have a point. Granted, you can't go out and say what he said on Twitter. Like, he's still a bit of a traitor.
But how can you say Erik Ten Hag has double standards when he can drop Sancho for Antony until Antony's situation occurred, but then when Antony's not here, he's also got Marcus Rashford who could do a job on the right hand side. He's also got Garnacho who could do a job on the right hand side, and the number 1 player is Facundo Pellistri. Whereas with Eriksen, he can't drop Eriksen because his players are injured. He's got nobody available. And Scott McTominay, the level of drop between Eriksen and Scott McTominay is absolutely massive. So as much as people can say it's double standards, it might not be double standards because he doesn't have anyone to pick from. And Kobe Manu's injured. You're not going to put Dango there, are you?
So wait, I want to ask you actually, what would you, if everyone's fit, what's your starting midfield 3?
If everyone's fit, it'd be Casemiro, Amrabat, and then either Mount or Bruno with the stuff that we've got available. It's not what I think is going to win us titles, but I think out of everything available, that's our best midfield. Eriksen, you could put in place of Bruno if Bruno gets tired in the last 20 minutes, but he's not an 8. He's never going to be an 8. I think he's past it. Amrabat, he can play the 8 or he can play Casemiro's role. So and Casemiro has looked a bit shaky recently, so if he needs a rest, you can put Amrabat there. But for me, the best one is Casemiro, Amrabat and Bruno from what we have. And
you'd introduce Donny back into the squad?
Yeah, but I will say this though quickly. I do agree with you. I will say one thing. As much as Donny van de Beek, about you saying not giving him a chance or, letting him be there, the fact that we had that many goalkeepers on the bench and Donny van de Beek wasn't registered for Champions League football, whether Manchester United wanted to sell him, he rejected, whatever it is, that is actually organisational-wise a very bad decision, because Scott McTominay was being sold and didn't end up moving, but Scott McTominay's there in the squad. Our squad is so thin. We had Forson in the squad. Let that sink in. Donny van de Beek should have been in the squad with the travelling squad yesterday. But that's all. Let's move on.
Yeah, Zalk, thank you so much for calling in. Really appreciate your opinions there on that. Getting some interesting stuff. First calling show is getting heated.
Love it.
Slow Sports News says, I respect other people's opinions, but I don't agree with selling Rashford. Again, pointing fingers at one player. We need to back these players and the manager, and or our standards will get too high for low results. Well, our next caller is Shane, who does think people are overreacting a little bit. Shane, I mean, 3 losses on the bounce. Man United fans not right to maybe overreact a little bit to that. That's not what Man United should be doing at this point in the season, should it?
Shane, are you there?
Shane, there with us?
Hello.
We can
Hello,
hear
Shane.
you. Hello, thank you.
Shane, so you think that Man United fans are overreacting a little bit, but it is 3 losses on the bounce. What are you thinking towards that?
I think that we're missing, as good as Lisandro Martinez has been, Rafael Varane is a world-class centre-back, and as shown in the Wolves game, he's our best defender by a country mile. We're missing him. We're missing Luke Shaw, left-back. We're missing Amrabat. We're playing Christian Eriksen, who's an aging midfielder, as a number 8, because we've no options. We're playing Reguilon, who we just got off Spurs, and no other option as a left-back. We've Pelistri playing on the right, who's not really played much either. I think we're overreacting quite a lot. And to still go and get performances like we did in Bayern, I know there was Onana had problems. There was a stupid penalty given away. We didn't hold onto the ball in transition well enough. But still, to score 3 goals in the Allianz and to control the game in periods like we did, I think it's a positive to take.
Well, Shane, tell me this then. When you saw Andre Onana make the mistake, what was the first thing that was going through your head?
The first thing that's going through my head is, as Gary Neville said long before Onana came in, the most scrutinised position in world football is a Manchester United goalkeeper.
All right.
Andre Onana, the past 5 years, has been one of the top keepers in Europe. He's going to have shaky games, and I think everyone knows that. You're going to live on edge with Andre Onana, but I think he is a huge improvement over David De Gea, and I think Ten Hag was ruthless in getting rid of the likes of David De Gea, Ronaldo, looks like Jadon Sancho, but these are things that had to be done. And so a strong character has to do
I
that.
agree with you massively, Shane.
So, Shane, when you're watching Wolves tear our midfield, when you're watching Spurs tear our midfield and getting shots in the net, when you're seeing Arsenal do the things they did to us, are you remaining calm whilst you're watching the game?
I am, because I still thought against Arsenal we were 2 millimetres off of taking a 2-1 lead away from home and winning the game against one of the top sides in Europe, as Arsenal showed last night against PSV. Absolutely dominated the game. I know PSV aren't any elite competition, but Arsenal are one of the best teams in world football. That's the way it is. And I think that our midfield, who has Ten Hag got? He got Amrabat at the last minute of a window, who he wanted all window long. He wanted options like Jean-Claire Todibo out of the French league. He got Johnny Evans. The backing has him in there for him. I think he's done a superb job. I think people don't give Ten Hag enough credit. Look at some of our performances. Man City last year, the way tactically we set up. Arsenal last year when we beat them. I think the Carabao Cup final against Newcastle, no one really talks about these. Ten Hag set up perfectly. Even against Bayern last night, apart from individual mistakes and missing a truckload of players, we still were good in large spells of the game.
All right. Okay.
Let me ask you this, Shane, as a finishing question. I want to ask you, so for you, Ten Hag is the man and he needs full backing from the fans?
100%. I don't think there's any manager in. I think the biggest problem for United is not going to be Ten Hag getting sacked. I think it's going to be Ten Hag could potentially walk away if he doesn't get.
I don't think that's going to happen. No, I don't think that's going to happen.
I think he's one of the best managers. Look what he done with his Ajax team, beating the likes of one of the best Real Madrid teams in world football in the Santiago Bernabeu, beating them. I think Ten Hag's an exceptional manager. I think he's the best manager United could get. I think he's a top manager in England. Him, Guardiola, and Jurgen Klopp. I think you don't look outside them three. Arteta as well.
Shane, I want to go out for a beer with you because I feel like you're going to make me feel a lot better about Manchester United at the end of the night. Shane, thank you so much for calling in.
No problem.
Thank you.
We'll see how, the funny thing is, Shane has a point that Erik Ten Hag actually doesn't have his full
Let's give a round
squad.
of applause for Shane. I really like the positivity.
Well, he's calm during the game, but me and you are not.
Oh, no, we're not.
You can clap all you want, but we know how you were last night, and you know how I was last night, and in the Brighton game as well. But look, the fact is that Erik Ten Hag's full starting 11 isn't there. What will happen? I am dying and waiting for that day when Amrabat, Mount, Kubi Mino, Anthony, Sancho, well, actually not Sancho, but all these other players are available for him to pick, and what he does on that game. That's the day I'm waiting for. And that's when we will know what Erik Ten Hag is doing. But I promise you, people are going to say, they've just come back from injury. They're not ready. Jamal Musiala just came back from injury, and you saw what he did?
100%. Everyone, if you want to have your say, the QR code is on your screen to the left. Also, link in the description as well. Join the Discord, get involved, come and have your say right here. If you don't agree with what me and Faz say, come and tell us you don't agree with us. We can take it sometimes. But yeah, come and talk to us. I just want to say, someone put in the chat there, best manager in England, but got scored by De Zerbi 4 times. Obviously, you've got to kind of, look at the contrast of things. But I do think Ten Hag is working a lot against him at Manchester United. But also, you do have to hold the manager accountable as well. Nick Warren says, Shane just smashed that. He's 100% correct. Love to see your opinions coming through, guys, in the chat as well. You are part of this call-in show with us. We appreciate all the comments. But Javi, are you here with us? Are you ready to talk?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Hi, Javi. Welcome to the call-in show. I want to quickly touch on Scott McTominay. Could have gone for 30 million in the summer. Now he's coming onto the pitch and strolling about. Everyone's seen the clip where he's, Upamecano completely drives past him and Scott McTominay is nowhere to be seen, jogging about when he's literally just come on. I mean, should he be touching the pitch for Manchester United in a Manchester United shirt?
I think it's a disgrace that he got on. I think, like Faz said, there's players like Mejbri that wants to come on and make an impact and is dying to get on the field. And you have players like Scott McTominay coming on the pitch and losing the ball and not even tracking back. I think it's disgraceful.
I do agree. I'll be honest. I rewatched the 4th goal that we conceded, and you saw Kimmich took a touch on the ball and turned, and there was a huge amount of gap in front of him, and Bruno Fernandes didn't close him down quick enough. And if it was Hannibal Mejbri instead of Scott McTominay, I promise you, any money that player gets tackled, and probably Hannibal picks up a booking, but a booking would have led to us not conceding that 4th goal. The sheer amount of gap that Scott McTominay left him with, and Scott McTominay was the closest player to him, fresh legs, and didn't close him down and tackle him. Take a booking. It's a couple of minutes left of the game. Why did you not do that? But Scott McTominay's I look at him like he doesn't care because Manchester United wanted to sell him.
He's looked like he's not cared, and in that Brighton game, it's very the one thing you used to be able to say about Scott McTominay is at least he gives it. He gives it everything, but I've really not seen that from him. I mean, Gavi, do you think the young players like Hannibal and obviously Kobe Mainoo when he's back should be getting a look in this side?
100%. I actually think that our midfield 3 should, it's going to be controversial, but it should be Mount, Mainoo, and Amrabat.
Mount, Mainoo, and Amrabat. Can you explain your decision to us? Why would you drop Bruno, captain?
Bruno, I wanted to get behind Bruno for the amount of time he's been here, but I just can't sit there and watch him give the ball away that many times. I understand that he's a high-risk player, but as you've seen in the game yesterday, Garnacho is wide open on the wing. He passes the ball. Nobody's pressing him. Nobody's on him. And he gives the ball away and we go and concede. He does this time in and time out and it does my head. And I just can't have it. Rashford too. Bruno and Rashford, we would not win anything big with these players in the team.
Who would be your captain then?
To be honest, I mean, Varane is always injured, so I don't know who would be captain, but we also need leaders. That's another problem. We don't have leaders.
Do you think Bruno Fernandes performs like a leader in big games? Do you think Bruno Fernandes plays like a leader in big games?
No, absolutely not.
Wow.
Absolutely not.
You will disagree with that?
If the entire team heads drop after 1 goal goes in, and our captain's head, his head drops too. Don't get food.
Why is Erik Ten Hag made him captain then, Gavi? If he's not the captain material, why has Erik Ten Hag chosen to do that as a manager when he's got the likes of Casemiro, who's won everything in his team? Why do you think he's made him captain then?
Bruno Fernandes has been here for. He's seen all the struggle with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he is an outspoken person. He speaks up. He expresses his feelings, but at the same time, you can express your feelings and not be good enough.
Interesting take. Lastly, I need to ask you, you said Mount would be part of your midfield three.
Yes, and I don't really rate Mount at all, to be honest. My front three would actually be Martial, Højlund, Ahmad, Mount,
Ooh.
Maino, and Amrabat.
Wow.
Full like 5.
Well, I don't think you'll ever see that.
good.
I don't think you'll ever see that, Gavi, but I appreciate you
Probably
calling
would
in.
never.
I appreciate you calling in to let us know. I am excited to see Amrabat and Mount definitely come into the midfield and shake things up. But Gavi, thank you very much for calling in.
Appreciate you guys.
I mean, thank you. Bruno, he said he wants him to be dropped. Faz, I know you are slowly and surely going on. You've always had a low-key little bit of Bruno kind of wanting him to be dropped in the back of your head.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Do you have a problem with Bruno, don't you?
Yes, I do, and I'm not fearful enough. I'm not fearful enough to say any otherwise. I think Bruno Fernandes is a fantastic leader when he performs well and he does the simple things really good. But I did tell you in the build-up show that I'm excited to see Bruno Fernandes perform in this particular game because it's such a big game. And he did give the ball away for the 4th goal, and he didn't close down Kimmich quick enough, and that led to a goal. And people want to hold Lindelof accountable as well because he didn't manage the striker. But it's time and time again Bruno Fernandes goes missing in big games. And again, Bruno Fernandes, the issue, as much as I say Bruno Fernandes doesn't have this and that, also Erik Ten Hag throws him under the bus by not playing him in positions where he should be. He ended up in centre-back against Brighton. Let that sink in.
Yeah, I've got to admit, what Erik Ten Hag did against Brighton, I generally have no excuses for. I love that manager, but that was absolutely ridiculous. And for me, I think we should be trying to get the best out of our best player. Bruno Fernandes, for me, is our best player. I know so many people agree. You've got to be trying to get the best out of him. I'm starting to think that's in a number 8 position. I can't lie.
I don't agree with Bruno being the best player.
And I mean, I know you won't, but we've got a caller in here that we can ask. Chaos. I mean, I'm hearing the name is Chaos. I mean, that sums everything up as it says. Are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm there. Hello.
Hi, welcome to the Call-In Show. You have said that nothing will change without the structure. We'll get onto that, but your thoughts on, me and Faz had a little disagreement there about Bruno Fernandes being so important to this Man United team. Where do you stand on Bruno?
Well, Bruno, I think as a player, he's quite good. It depends on his mentality of the game. Like, we know he's excellent. It depends on how people interpret that. Some people can interpret that as, negative. Other people interpret it as he cares about the team. One thing I do notice of him is he will try. Like, he reminds me of Rooney a bit, not in the way of how good he is, but even when Rooney was playing up front, he would be tracking back, running, putting in tackles, no matter what it was. And I noticed that with Bruno a lot. He will keep trying and keep running to the end. And in a team that's plagued by poor mentality and weak mentality, having someone with that strong mentality in it is key. And I think that right now we do need that. I think in a longer term, it is probably a position we could improve on overall, because I don't see him making nice through balls. Now we've actually got a decent striker. He's more like ping and hope. He'll pull off one in every 5 balls, and the one he pulls off is amazing. But you need consistent good balls to create chances, and we just never get chances because of our wingers and our midfield. So overall, we could improve on it. But I think his mentality is good, and we need more mentality instilled in this team because it's so weak at the minute.
Let me ask you a question then, Chaos. What are your thoughts on Bruno's pressing yesterday? Numerous times in the first half, me and Beth were saying to each other, don't get sucked in. Stop pressing unnecessarily. There's no need. And we saw Eriksen follow him as well. Maybe that's a managerial instruction. Maybe it's not. But we do see that from Bruno pretty much every game where he goes in pressing phases all alone without the team. What do you think of that? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
Well, I mean, pressing is good, and we have been trying to implement that as a team. But it's when you notice you notice it with Klopp and the Jürgen press, where it's implemented in stages. There's 2 sets of players that do it at a time, whereas our pressing seems much more haphazard. Like I noticed again in that game, I noticed Bruno and Højlund would start pressing, and then Rashford would kind of be half pressing. He'd get caught in between, and then he'd be sprinting back because he got rinsed out. If you're going to press, then it needs to be coordinated as a team. And if it's going to be coordinated on the pitch, then Bruno's the captain. He's in the front line, so he should be the one coordinated and be like, when Bruno goes, everyone goes to the player. So I don't know if that's a coaching thing or lack of discipline or not. But yeah, when one person just starts pressing and it's haphazard, it's never going to work unless it's implemented in a system where you go, all right, this person has the ball, say that right back or whatever. If their right back's weak, we know he's not confident on the ball. As soon as they pass to him, that's when we trigger the press. And Bruno needs to be the one that leads that because he does have the energy and he does have the drive to do it. I think there needs to be more of a system of pressing in place.
Well, Chaos, you speak about there about, you know, the press and how it is not good enough because it isn't. That would come down to the manager. But you've said nothing. A lot of people coming into Ten Hag, but you've said nothing will change without the structure. So do you think with Ten Hag we need to be focusing more on the structure around the club rather than him as a manager right now?
Yeah, I think too many people, especially this age, are too quick to have a go at a manager. Like if you come into the chaos that is Manchester United, you've got 10 years worth of players that have been hired for different managers that have played different styles of football. Like we've still got Van Gaal style players, which was very slow, ponderous, possession based. We've got Mourinho players, which is like sit back, boring, park the bus football, and then quick counter attacks. And then we've got Ollie, which is I don't even know what Ollie ball was, to be honest, just ping it long and hope. But like there's no system behind a club. There's no director of football that's pulling in one direction. There's no like, right, the Man United way is we're going to get wingers down the line and put crosses into the box. We're going to have strong combative defence. There's no whole vision for the club that directs the transfer. Like you need someone to be like, okay, this is the style of football we want to play overall. So these are the type of players we want. And then they take that to the manager and the manager picks the players that they think would help them to achieve that better. But right now, we don't have that, so we just have groups of players from different managers that have just been hired for that manager and that manager's style of play, and it's not even their first choice players. So we've got fourth or fifth choice players from 4 different managers, and we don't have an overall system. So any manager that comes in isn't going to be able to implement a style of play or get team cohesion working without a longer period of time. Like for me right now, I'd rather just gut a lot of the players, even some players we think we could. Like I'd agree with D from before, I'd chuck Rashford out the team because in the long run, we don't have enough time to wait for him. And I think if we start bedding in youth players and then just build from the transfer market and focus on players with mentality that we can develop and start bringing in players with a good mentality as opposed to our previous transfer policy, which has been buy whoever sells them shirts or overpay for someone that have got in the window. Like, if we focus on players' mentality more and have team cohesion, like a team is the sum of its parts. It's not an individual Rashford moment where, yeah, he's a brilliant player and he's an amazing talent, but he'll drop his head. He can't cross the ball. Like United throughout history are known for lightning fast wingers, counter attacks, getting crosses in the box, and even still nowadays in the Premier League, a cross coming across from the box from a player that's actually right-footed on the right wing or left-footed on the left wing, it's so hard to defend as a defender, and it can cause own goals. It's when the striker's running onto it, it's much better than the bloody crap we do where we loop in crosses that go toward the goal. Like I barely see us score from crosses at all, and that's what we used to be.
Chaos, I completely agree with you. I thought you were just spitting absolute pure facts there. It is about the structure. And I do think Ten Hag is starting to target players with the right mentality. I do think they're getting brought into a club. I think that's a running theme. Question whether their ability is good enough for sure, but that mentality is slowly but surely coming into the club. But really appreciate your call. I think you were absolutely bang on there about past managers, transfers. So thank you for
calling into us. Could I also just say, Chaos, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Please change your name to Calm instead. Calm. Because you spoke very calmly, and I will give you a round of applause for
really
that, because
well
I was actually thinking it's going to be Chaos in the studio, but it wasn't. You spoke very, very well. So clapping emojis in the chat for Chaos. Thank you very much.
Chaos, thank you very much. Wayne Albert says this team's problem is mentality, sick of players not running and doing the minimum. That should be the minimum. No tracking runners, players jogging. I completely agree with that chat. And by the way, guys, if you want to change the theme or get a theme in or a topic in that we've missed, make sure you get your super chats in and tell us about that as well, and tell us where you want these conversations ahead, because this is your show, your calling show, and we're just directing it. But
can I just give a shout out to someone in the chat?
Go on.
Manchester Drake, big shout out to you, because I absolutely love that account. It makes me laugh all the time, especially through these depressing times. So yeah, just shout out to you.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, guys. I know we're midway through it, but I mean, this calling show is really brightening. It's really brightening my week.
Are you enjoying it?
I'm really enjoying it. I feel like it's therapy. Like, it's really, really brightening my week, and especially when I'm so down with United, I'm feeling a little bit better now after hearing these calls.
It's nice to hear someone else's voice and what they think that they want to do, and also people can see that some people may agree with us and some people don't. It's real people behind. It's real football fans, and that's what it's about. That is what the community is about. And if you want to join in, make sure you click that link on top on the chat so you can join in the Discord. And not just on this call as well, there's a Discord community, so you can speak to me, I think Beth is on there.
I am on there.
There
I was
are
chatting
loads
it
of us
before.
on there, so we'll be messaging you, we'll be speaking to you. We will get interactive on there as well.
Yeah, it was good. It's good to hear different opinions for sure. Scott Shove says Onana is going to have a disaster games all season. It's not his fault. The squad does not know how to play like this. When if they figure it out, he will be great. He hasn't played anywhere near as high as he did with Inter. Scott, that is my super chat of the day. That is my super chat of the day. I do think the squad is not ready to play the way Onana wants to play, but Erik Ten Hag's job to get it up to standard, and let's get that moving. But we have our next caller coming to us now. Logan, are you with us? Logan, are you there talking to me about Højlund and Pellistri? You want them to be regular starters in their team. Do you like to see that link up and that combination?
Yeah, I'd rather actually see the likes of Pellistri and people who actually create instead of like Rashford. I've loved Rashford for years, since he actually broke through. But he is right now with the sort of man. I know Ten Hag loves him, but right now he is the definition of a system killer. It's like he'll get the ball and just run in a straight line. It's almost like he's a striker. He's not a striker. I think he's definitely not a striker, but it's almost like he is a striker who's not good enough to play striker, so we're putting him out on the left. And he's not got the abilities. So I'd rather have Pellistri, who, fair enough, people were saying in the waiting rooms that it didn't have a good game last night, but at least he'll actually provide service to a striker who I think has already shown quite a lot of promise.
Yeah, I mean, you just broke up a little bit there, but I like the fact that you're backing Pellistri. I thought Pellistri actually had a good game considering he was playing against Bayern Munich last night as his second start ever for Manchester United. So who would you move onto the left then if Rashford drops out?
I'm not going to lie, like, I don't think we have anyone on the left. Like, see, think about it, like, Garnacho's a very weak, he's not the same profile in terms of like his physical attributes, but I think he has a very, very similar mentality of run at the defence, cut in and shoot. I think Anthony has the same thing, but it's like we could always just swap the wingers. Like we could swap, like put Anthony to the left. He has a decent cross. Like when he comes back, obviously, like
that's a very good shout.
Like,
very good shout.
You just spoke my mind.
Like an out-swinging cross towards Højlund could do. Like you've seen that in one of the goals that he scored for Denmark, where he legit like flies across the box. That would be a perfect Anthony cross, perfect Pellistri cross. Like we have these like South American players who just have that like fire in them.
And that's exactly what Manchester United is built on. Crosses into the box, wingers getting to the byline, crossing it in. And do you know, Ricky was speaking to me about Anthony playing on the left, and he did it, I think it was against Betis for like 5 minutes while they were swapping, and he got in a couple of really good crosses with his left foot. So I definitely think that's an option.
I want to ask you as well, Logan, do you remember yesterday when Marcus Rashford whipped the ball from the right-hand side? It was later on.
Whipped it to Garnacho.
Yeah, whipped it to Garnacho, and later on in the second half. If you've not watched it, try and watch that back if you can. But it was a fantastic ball from Marcus Rashford, and I've never seen him. I don't remember the last time he's done that.
He can do it.
He can.
He used to do it to Cavani sometimes.
He's right-footed and it's stronger foot. I would love, like Ricky says, and I agree with that swap the wingers regularly throughout the game and utilise their strong foot. Now that we have Rasmus Højlund, who will be an absolute menace inside the box. Get those balls in from right from deep on the half space, out wide, and get a good aerial ball in. And it just also takes the load of Bruno Fernandes, because how many times do you see Bruno just spraying the pass up front? Right? And that way you have the players sharing out the workload of crossing the ball in the box. So, yeah, that's something to think about. But will Ten Hag do it or not? We don't know.
Lastly, I'll let you go in, Logan. I just wanted to ask you lastly, to add to that point that you were making, Martial came on and looked like his old self yesterday. Very, very techy. Should he be in line to start at Burnley?
Who were you actually saying there, sorry?
Martial.
Honestly, by then he could be injured. I think we need players that we can actually rely on. I think we need to get this old mentality out. Like, we've had people like a lot of managers like Jose, a lot of them who have there's all different ideas that we're trying to put into this one manager, and it's like, I think I love Martial. Like anyone, I've loved him. Like I have like a 7-minute video on my phone of just Martial highlights, but I just think he'll probably be injured. Like we can't rely on him.
Everyone's got that, Logan. Everyone's got that. Everyone's invested into Martial in the past, but it's just whether you've still got the patience to stick with him. You're probably on the right path, thinking about disregarding him, to be honest with you. But Logan, thank you so much for calling in and getting your voice heard on the Calling Show. I mean, Guys, get in the chat. I want to ask you, because a lot of people are changing their tune on Anthony Martial. I've seen so much hate for Martial, rightly, not hate, obviously not rightly so, but people not wanting him in the team, rightly so, because he's always injured. But last night he showed us glimpses. He showed us a little bit to get us excited of old Martial, you know, tricky feet, coming in, affecting the game, impacting the game, making him, you know, kind of setting our attack alight a little bit when he came on the pitch. I mean, you heard Ricky, what he was saying he'd say to Ten Hag if we met up with him. We can't say it live on air, let's put it that way. But Martial, should he be in the team? Should Martial come in and play on the left wing? Get your comments in down below.
I'll just say that as well, Beth. Just because he did that little glimpse doesn't mean he should be starting, because we know exactly that's typical Martial, having a little glimpse and then everybody getting excited, and then he starts and he drops an absolute stinker. And then people go back to saying Martial's not this and Martial's not that. I just don't think he's the player that people presumed he is because of all the injuries. I've been saying it since last season. I did want him starting against Bayern Munich just from a tactical standpoint, but against Burnley, I don't think he should start. Keep him on bench, keep him fresh and ready for the second half.
Keep him in his ice bath, ready to come out.
Ice bath. And I think that's just how he's going to play the rest of, because Rasmus Højlund can't play 2 games a week. So actually, funny enough, it might be that Martial actually starts thinking about it now.
I want them to play together, to be honest.
You reckon Rasmus starts now because he can't start 2 games a week? That we heard that in the reports before.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We can ask our callers about that before. Oh God, the time is absolutely flying. But we have Andrew joining us, wanting to speak about the Glazers and also the Buccaneers. Andrew, you there?
Yeah. How are you guys?
Really nice to hear someone from the other side of the pond over in America. Is it?
I know. An American.
American. Whereabouts?
I am actually from Tampa, Florida.
Tampa,
so
Florida.
I know my thing about the Buccaneers.
Yeah, well, you can fill us all in about that, but you wanted to come and have your say and talk about the Glazers. Obviously, everybody knows that the Glazers need to leave this football club ASAP, but what did you want to say particular about them and how they're running this football club?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, obviously, we've known for the last forever that the Glazers are a plague and they need to, you know, get out of the club immediately. And I think one of a different angle that I could possibly bring is what you see in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously, you know, we've won the Super Bowl, I think in 2021, but it's the exact same repetition. They brought in 2 of the biggest players with the biggest price tags, Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, and we won the Super Bowl off of a miracle. We won the Super Bowl off of PR. They sold the most shirts. They made the most money. As soon as Tom Brady and Gronkowski had their say, they kicked him to the curb. And you see that time and time again. It's the same thing with Anthony. I love Anthony. I back Anthony. But a problem that we're seeing now is we wanted him for a reasonable price. We waited too long. His price got hiked straight up. He sold the most shirts, and it's just rinse and repeat for the Glazers. They're just getting as much money as they can without really any sort of support for any of our teams. Like, I've been to Raymond James Stadium. That stadium, just like Old Trafford, is rotting from the inside out, and it's so sad to see such a great potential of a stadium. We have cannons and ships and all, this whole pirate themed thing, but half of the time it doesn't even work because they're not putting maintenance that they need into the club. It's just it's so disappointing to see how much they're milking of not only, me, the Buccaneers, my favorite football team, my favorite American football team, but also Manchester United, my favorite, real football team.
I feel for
How
you.
unfortunate is it that you support both teams that the Glazers own?
You imagine 2 different sports supporting
and the
2
Glazers
different
own
teams,
them both. That
and
is
Glazers
gutting.
own the both.
I mean, I feel so sorry for you, Andrew, but honestly, really great insight into that, because obviously I'm not really clued up on the Tampa Buccaneers. Obviously, you watch the Super Bowl every year. I think that's about as far as I'd go with American football, but it's really great to kind of hear your insight as a fan of both teams. But also on the Glazers, and on one appointment that I do want to talk to you about is the appointment of Erik Ten Hag. I think was the best thing the Glazers have probably done, and I'm still not giving him 100% credit. But where are you on Erik Ten Hag? Is he the man to take United forward? He's had a lot of criticism over here in England.
Yeah, so obviously I think it's just another example of, he doesn't have a British passport is one of the biggest problems, unfortunately. And we need to back this manager. We have to back Ten Hag, because what's going to happen, and what has happened, is we're having players from 4 different generations of managers, 4 different play styles. You have some from Mourinho, you have some from Ole, you have some from Rangnick, and now you have some from Ten Hag. And these 4 play styles, they're confusing, they're messing up the dressing room, they're messing up the mentality. We have to back this manager. And it's so unfortunate in modern day football to see everybody's first choice reaction to a bad performance or anything, just manager out, manager out, manager out. Because it's like so many people have said, last year, Ten Hag performed a miracle. He turned muddy water into crystal clear wine for us. He gave us hope, and I think that we have to stay with him.
That felt Peter Drury-esque, muddy water into crystal clear wine. I absolutely love that.
I have a question for you.
You need to take note of Andrew.
I need to. I want to ask you a question, Andrew, quickly. Andrew, do you think the Glazers have backed Erik Ten Hag fully by buying
Absolutely
the players that we have bought in the 2 windows? Whether we overpaid or not, that's a different conversation. But the players that we've got, they are Erik Ten Hag players. But do you think he's been backed fully? And if not,
Absolutely
why?
not. You can see it. It's so, we had gone from, Harry Kane to Rasmus Højlund, and obviously I love Rasmus Højlund. I love his energy that he brings, but he needs somebody to study under. He needs that world-class developmental striker to study under. And it's the same thing with the midfield problem. We had run through this whole list of midfielders that we wanted, and in the end we waited till the last 3-4 hours of the transfer window to get a loan of a player that Ten Hag wanted, maybe second or third. And it's the same thing with the center back problem. Nobody wants Harry Maguire. I'm sorry, I don't even think Harry Maguire wants Harry Maguire. The only thing that Harry Maguire wants is money. We had tried to go through a full, I guarantee you, Ten Hag went to the Glazers or went to the transfer team and said, look, this is my short list of players that I want, and he got maybe 10th, 11th pick of all of his priorities. And it's really, really disappointing to see, and it's honestly embarrassing to see as...
Let me ask you this, Andrew, because I really want to get your opinion on this.
Yeah.
Amrabat is his #1 priority, right?
I think Amrabat was his #1 priority in terms of the fact that he didn't really have the confidence that he was going to get anybody else.
Okay, is Mount his #1 priority?
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately,
Is Onana
Mount,
his #1
I think,
priority?
was his #1 priority.
Ooh.
Is Onana his #1 priority?
Yes. Onana was his
Anthony
#1 priority.
his #1 priority?
You're cutting out, I'm sorry.
Is Anthony...
that old chestnut.
Is Anthony Erik Ten Hag's #1 priority?
Oh, I think he's gone.
Andrew, don't hang up on me now, Andrew.
I can hear it, but it sounds muffled.
Oh,
sorry,
the network.
Andrew.
Oh,
I think,
sorry, Andrew. But you saw what I was cooking there.
Brilliant call. I get where you're coming from. I completely get where Andrew's coming from as well. Like, I do think Ten Hag's missed out on targets. For example, Ten Hag's missed out on Kim Min-jae. He's missed out on Harry Kane.
Yes.
You wanted De Jong, Rabiot.
Yes.
These are all players that Ten Hag wanted. Timber. Yeah, and he's not got them. So you're right in the sense he has got some of his #1 targets, but also in a sense he's not got a lot of the really important ones. Like Kim Min-jae and Kane would have been absolute game changers. But I mean, what a great calling show to finish it off with, and a great caller to end it with as well. Andrew speaking absolute facts there over from Tampa. And Sudan Vignesh Akilin says Rashford had a decent game yesterday. His attitude will improve with goals. Let's have some patience and trust our manager and players. We're turning a corner. I really like to end it on a positive note. I'm feeling a lot more positive coming to the end of this calling show. As you can see there on the left, scan the QR code to join the Discord and call in for our next show. This is going to be a regular show on the United Stand, and we absolutely love to use our community to all speak together, get your voices heard, even if you don't want to call in, getting your comments in and you're dictating the show, telling us what topics to go down. We absolutely love it. And Faz, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling so much better going into the game on Saturday against Burnley after this show.
Yeah, I am too. We scored 3 goals in the Allianz Arena. No matter how you look at it, 3 goals is still... You can't take that away from Manchester United. There's still positives to take. Rasmus Højlund got a goal away against Bayern Munich. That's massive. That is absolute huge confidence booster for him. Andre Onana came out and did his little interview. He has to take accountability, so I'm hoping a clean sheet against Burnley. But the most important thing is I've slept on it. I've spoken to you guys. I've been active on the Discord chat as well. I've did my little breakdown. I've spoke to you. I'm positive. We back the team and we go again.
we're positive. We go into Saturday and it is a must-win game for Manchester United and Erik Ten Hag. Thank you to everyone, producers behind the scenes, you guys for commenting, and of course all of our lovely callers that joined us here today. Very, very interesting show with some very different opinions, which is what we love here on the United Stand. Next call-in show will be Monday at 4 p.m. Make sure you tune into that. Make sure you like the video and stay tuned on the United Stand 8 p.m. show and any other breaking news. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your Thursday, and we will see you on the next one.